Hello and welcome to this new episode of the Lounge. Guys, I'm super excited today because I'm joined, as you can see, by Tom and Rick. Welcome to the Lounge. The guys are from PanCam Pictures, and for who has not heard this, we're gonna have probably a movie coming soon in Vegas. So welcome, guys. Welcome to the Lounge. It's a pleasure to have you. Uh, do you wanna quickly introduce yourself and explain us what are you doing? What is gonna happen soon?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name's Rich Owens. I'm a documentary filmmaker based in Brooklyn, New York. Um, we found out about the Excel World Championships about 6 months ago. Tom and I and my co-director, and we've been pretty captivated by it ever since. And really excited to get out there next month in beautiful Las Vegas.
Yeah, just jumping onto that. My name's Tom. Tom Van Kalken. I'm also a documentary filmmaker. I also live in Brooklyn. Me and Rich live like 15 minutes from each other. Rich and I actually met on a previous project. I filmed and released my first feature documentary earlier this year, which was about the solar eclipse. We did a film about this small community up in northern Maine, which was the last town in the US to get the solar eclipse. There's about 5,000 people that live in this town. It's right on the border with Canada, and they had 40,000 people show up on the day to watch the solar eclipse. So it was all about the week leading up to the eclipse, and four different characters. We followed four different characters and how all their stories kind of converged on the day of the eclipse. And yeah, I see a lot of parallels between that and this story. That was a tight knit community of really like lovely people. It was also counting down to something. This is counting down to something rather big as well. So yeah, I'm really excited to dive in and get involved. It's been a pleasure over the last couple of months getting to know everybody and getting to know the community. So we're in the final stages now. It's 2 weeks out, and I'm excited to properly dive in and actually start like thinking about what this film's going to look like.
Yeah, I'm sure at this point you guys are all tired of us hopping on video and talking about
I don't think so. I don't think so. At least I'm very excited. I think we are all very excited for this. I was not expecting this at all, to be honest. I mean, go from my small room here in my house playing Excel to being in a stage in Vegas and being filmed in an actual documentary. So I mean, it's a lot of excitement, at least for me, and I'm looking forward to it. So it's also very good to know that we're in very well good hands. So in terms of experience you have with previous work on this, so yeah, the excitement is through the roof, actually. You mentioned you first saw about the Excel World Championship months ago, probably 6 months ago, probably with the New York Times article or the media exposure.
Yep.
What, let's say, gave you the idea for this? What was your inspiration? Why did you choose to shoot a movie about this?
Yeah, I could jump on that real quick. The last documentary film I worked on, it's called Cult of Nerd, and it's about a small group in southern New Jersey who plays miniature war games, just like Warhammer, if you ever heard of that, sort of like kind of advanced Risk, if you will, the board game. It's a film about sort of a niche subculture that just pours unending amounts of passion into something. And when it comes to filmmaking, I'm always looking to tell stories like that. Like, I just love people. I love meeting people, and I love telling stories of people who are just talented and obsessed with something that is maybe a little bit out of the ordinary. And Tom, when he found this article about the Excel Championships and showed it to me, it just seemed instantly like a story that I and we both would want to tell, because that's what it really is. It's this like incredibly passionate community, obsessed with something and obsessed with getting better at something. And that is just like kind of an archetypal story that really speaks to my soul.
Yeah, I think there was there's two sides to it. One of it is, and then obviously we looked up all of the other kind of like press and stuff that was around it, and they're like, this is a really captivating kind of thing. Is like all of this very unique kind of community in the bright lights of Vegas, solving Excel puzzles like in front of a live audience. Like that just by itself is a very visually impressive thing. But when we were reading like all of these articles and stuff, you know, if that was it, we wouldn't do it because that story's already been told, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what we kind of saw was like, well, what's the story like underneath that? Like, who are the people that are behind this? And so, you know, I've said this before, but the event in Vegas is kind of like the hook and the draw and the visual, but underneath all of that is the people and the competitors, and what does it mean to be good at something, and what does it mean to be part of a community, and all of these other underlying questions that I think is really like the theme and the meat and bones of the documentary.
Yeah, I like it because it accurately reflects the spirit of the community. You have had, I think, a good level of exposure to the people. You have met some of them. You had the opportunity to chat with them. So yeah, the passion is really there because there is a lot of effort going on in actually participating in battles, creating cases, being active in the community. So yeah, I totally see your point, and I also like the fact that you're going, let's say, beyond the actual competition itself, which is hosted in Vegas, because it's really much more than that. So it's really good to hear that. And do you have already like an high level storyline in mind in terms of what do you want to capture? Which story do you want to tell apart from following probably some key people or storylines you're gonna choose, but in terms of high level message that you wanna convey, do you already have an idea of this?
Yeah, I think we've definitely had a bunch of like you know, brainstorming meetings. Again, you know, living so close to Rich is very handy because we can just be like, oh, let's meet over at your place, or let's go to the coffee shop and let's brainstorm. Like, you know, who have we talked to this week? What are some you know, key factors about them that would make them a compelling subject to follow? And so we've got a bunch of different like storylines that we think we could possibly follow. You know, I've said this before. There's so many interesting different stories that are happening underneath the surface of the competition in Vegas. You know, you've got people who are coming to Vegas for the very first time. Some of them it's their first time in America as well, which is just, you know, fascinating to me that like your first experience of America is Vegas and this very intense weekend. I think that's super fascinating. I know there's a lot of like Excel like couples out there as well. That's super interesting. We've also got you know, everybody knows and loves Michael Jarman. He's a character just in and of himself. You know, we've got Dims, who's like coming back again. And so there's all of these different like storylines that are like, you know, there he is. There's all of these like storylines that and characters that we're thinking about on like a very like high level. And then we're also thinking about, well, what are the actual events that are going to be happening throughout the 3 days and before and afterwards that we also want to capture. And we don't have anything solid at the moment, but you know, we want to try and get those moments where you know, people are connecting, or people are you know, at the bar, or they're going to the Sphere, or they're like practicing in their hotel rooms, or they're arriving in Vegas. I think everybody coming from all corners of the world and all landing at the airport in Vegas, that's a very powerful image. And obviously the last chance qualifier is something that we've talked about a lot as well, as being like a major plot point, because just the idea of having like hundreds of people scrapping to get into the competition with their laptops out in this room, that's just also a very captivating image for me. So we're kind of thinking in these very big, vague concepts at the moment, and it's all going to come together in the next couple of weeks. And then when we're there as well, like that could all like, you know, blow up, and there could be a completely different thing that we've got to follow. It's all about being nimble as well when you're on a documentary shoot.
Yeah, I think that's all right. I guess I'll just add that I think as an overarching philosophy for me when it comes to filmmaking, especially documentary filmmaking, I think, you know, you mentioned like high level message And I think that comes after the fact. I think our
Right.
job as documentary filmmakers is to document what happens in front of us and do it the best way we can. And then afterwards, hopefully, we'll create a story that kind of naturally will deliver some kind of message that resonates with people. With that said, I think like a through line that we have had since we started this project is just the community and how supportive the community is and how important community is and how it brings people together, especially in this day and age, where I feel like there's some distance in the world. But here we have this beautiful community where people are able to connect with each other. And I think that is a pretty obvious story that is worth telling in this project.
Yeah, on the last chance qualification round, it's a very unique moment. I felt that last year because I was part of the last chance qualification round, and also, as you can see, Michael Jarman has qualified through it. Probably was not last year, was the year before, but still, it's a very valid opportunity. And ironically enough, Vegas plus last chance, I don't know, it's a combination of two things which stay very well together. So yeah. But I remember this room packed with people, a mixed, let's say, type of people. There were like regular competitors trying to earn their spot because they were maybe unlucky in the draw. There was a bunch of people casually being there because they were part of the conference and were trying their, let's say, opportunity to qualify. There was an army of students, probably 200 students also competing, which was adding a little bit more pressure in terms of performance you need to put in order to qualify. So yeah, there is a very diverse range of people taking part in that event, which is actually the very first step in terms of starting the competition in Excel, because before that is all a conference. So it's actually the very first milestone in terms of kicking off the event. So yeah, it's for sure a key moment that you will want to capture for sure.
100%. Yeah.
But do you think Vegas might add some twist to the movie, because probably Vegas is very cinematic, so it's also a very, let's say, good location to shoot in as opposed to other US cities or venues?
Oh, absolutely. We think Vegas is a huge part of the story. I mean, at the surface, just the idea that there's this sort of, I would call it like intellectual event happening around Microsoft Excel, very bookish, very in your computer. And the fact that it takes place in like this wild party town is just like a really, honestly, funny contrast. So yeah, I think that's absolutely something we want to highlight.
Yeah, particularly the sport that takes place mainly in like people's like bedrooms and offices, then being in like the complete opposite of that, which is like the stage and the bright lights, and you can hear the slot machines in the background. It's such a really pleasing juxtaposition. I mean, just like thematically for a film, and I think it's going to be great. I mean, visually, but also like story wise, I think it's a great little motif.
I remember last year was my first year in Vegas, and I mean, on top of the big journey being on the other part of the world to compete in a mental sport, so you need to be rested, you need to be sharp with your mind. It's not easy given the jet lag and also being tired from the trip. It's very hard also to maintain discipline because you're really gonna meet with people that have been around virtually for all over the year. So you finally, let's say, be all together in the same place. So you wanna hang out with people. There is a little FOMO, at least for me, to spend as much time as possible on one side, but also you need to prepare for the competition on the other side. And also there are a lot of distractions going on from a competition perspective, because you can do whatever you want in Vegas, probably. You name it, you can have it. So it's really hard to balance, let's say, the competition with having fun, of course, because end of the story, we all want to have fun.
I also, real quick, I feel like Vegas just makes things feel big. Like Vegas is a spectacle. And I think that, if the conference was in, I don't know, no shade at Milwaukee, but if it was in like Milwaukee, like it's a whole different experience than it is in Vegas, which makes things feel like a moment when they're there. So I think it adds a lot.
Yeah, and I think that was Andrew's intention when he first set up the whole competition
Yeah, I think so.
in Vegas. He probably could have had his pick of a bunch of different like cities, but yeah, that's where you put on the show.
Yeah. Okay. Can you tell us a bit more of what is gonna practically happen in 2 weeks? So you will be there. How many of you? What is gonna happen? What you're going to do from a practical standpoint? What we can expect from you being there?
Yeah, for sure. I'll hand this one over to Rich mainly, and this might be a good opportunity to kind of like outline where our creative talents kind of lie and how we're kind of splitting up the role of director. I work primarily in post production. That's kind of like my skill set. I'm also a writer, so I work in pre production as well. I write for a couple of like kids shows. I'm a staff writer on some kids shows as well as doing freelance editing. So I primarily work with story, and on the back end, I'm not as involved in terms of like the production of things with like cameras and lighting and setup and all of that kind of stuff. Rich also does editing as well. He's a very talented editor, but he has a lot more experience than I do in the production realm of things. He's a one-man band. The short film that you've hopefully all seen by now, that was all done by Rich. He went out every weekend to go shoot with those guys, and it was him with his cameras and his lighting and stuff. He's a one-man band, and so he's kind of taking the lead in terms of directing while in Vegas. I'll be there to help and work in terms of like story and content and stuff like that. But in terms of the logistics, Rich is taking a big chunk of that, so I'll let him talk about that.
But you're gonna be there anyway, right, Tom?
I'm gonna
Okay.
be there. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Don't worry.
Oh, yeah. I don't even know. I can't even think of a single thing that would cause Tom to miss for a week for this. Yeah, so I want to stress that this is all coming together as we speak. We are working out tons of logistics every day. But right now we have 10 people that are going to be going out to Vegas. So it's Tom and I, Paul and Brian, which are our executive producers and co-directors as well. And then we have 2 assistants, and then we're going to have 2 additional camera operators and 2 additional sound mixers. So a camera operator and a sound person, along with an assistant and a director, will form like a 4-person team.
Okay.
And we'll send those crews out to various spots to film things.
Okay.
So it can be during the competition, they'll all be shooting the competition, and then all the stuff that we decide we want to shoot around the competition. So we have multiple teams at multiple events all at the same time. So, the more teams we can have, the better. But right now we're operating on this like 2 to 3 team kind of squadron system.
Okay.
It's how like every documentary I've worked on in the past has done it. So yeah, our days will be pretty packed. We want to shoot a lot of social stuff happening around the competition. We want to really get everyone's personality in the story.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a combination of that. It's going to be a combination of sit-down interviews.
Okay.
So we'll have a place in the hotel that we'll have an interview station kind of set up, maybe 2. And over the course of the days, we'll roll people through to talk to them on camera.
Okay.
And then, of course, there'll be the actual competition that we'll be shooting every day.
Wow, that sounds amazing to me. Very professional, and of course, never be part of something similar. So I'm very excited to see how it actually works in practice, but also much more curious about the end result. So that's, I think, what we all want to see as soon as possible. So yeah, 2 to 3, let's say, groups able to shoot footage in parallel, if I understood correctly, from a competition perspective, direct interviews, let's say casual footage during, I don't know, social events and everything. Understood?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's currently where we are. And again, there's still a lot of stuff like happening. So, we might be able to, we're talking to a lot of different people. If we're able to get more funding, that just means more crews, and that means more people that we're able to follow at the same time. And that means that we've got more stuff to choose from when we get to the editing room come January.
Clearly. And how long typically takes to, let's say, review and edit and create the final product, so to speak, in terms of having, I don't know, a 1 hour, 1 hour and a half long movie that you, I assume, gonna show to producers or streaming platforms? I don't know how this market works, but I'm assuming you need to build something and then sell it to someone.
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about the editing process, and then Rich, maybe you want to talk about the film festival circuit after.
Yeah.
Every film project's going to be different. I can speak from my experience with our last film that we did about the solar eclipse, which I was lead editor on. We came back from that with 62 hours of footage, and the film ended up being 1 hour and 16 minutes long. The first month of that is essentially just going through all of the footage and logging it and putting it into the right bins and like lining it up. It's like getting, you dump the puzzle pieces and it's like putting them all in the right places and stuff like that. And then you can start, putting it together, and you try things, and sometimes they don't work, and you throw it out and you bring it back. But the first month is basically like organization and getting stuff sorted and getting everything in order. And then you start with it. It took, for us, we worked very fast through the summer, and it took us about 3-4 months to edit the film. And that is typically a little faster than you would usually go, but we were able to get something out of that. And then after that, we usually hand it off to somebody else to do sound mixing and coloring, which is, we'll go through, we'll make the film. I enjoy sound design as well, so I'll put in some sound effects and stuff, but then that'll get handed off to another person to mix it up. So make sure that all the levels are correct, the music is exactly the same, all the sound effects are right. They might put in their own sound effects. They'll do all that, and you hand it off to a colorist as well, which is somebody who, I guess like the layman's terms would be like putting like a filter on it, like an Instagram, and like tweaking the highlights and the shadows and all of that kind of stuff. And that process also takes like a couple of months, and then that's outside of our hands. So I don't know if we have a proper like timeline for when we're hoping to get the finished product out by, but I would say 9 months to a year. But yeah, that's still ahead of us. We'll have a better idea once we finish up. But Rich, I don't know if you wanted to add anything onto that.
Yeah, sure. I'll just say this is going to sound like really like artsy fartsy, I guess, for lack of a better word. But I kind of liken the editing process to a little bit like sculpting, in that you have a big block of stuff.
Yeah.
And that you kind of got to get rid of the first layer of stuff that you throw in the trash. And then as you go about editing, you just keep cutting it down and cutting it down and cutting it down until you get close to what you can then keep refining.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of how you have to do it. When we'll probably shoot 100 hours of stuff for this project. So, we got to whittle that down to an hour.
1 hour. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand there is a lot of creativity involved, so you cannot really say this is going to take 6 months, 9 months, or 12 months, but just to set our expectation that, guys, this is not going to take 1 month, so we need to be patient. Much more than that. So, yeah, I understand it's a very custom, creative, tailored project from time to time, so it's impossible to tell beforehand how long it will take.
It would be great as well, I think, like once the film is actually like shot as well, to keep up these, office hours that we've been having with the community, to keep everybody up to date on our progress and stuff. So you'll be hearing from us. You'll know where the film's at, I'm sure.
Yeah. And the selling process, for my curiosity, to platform, so whoever is gonna buy it, is that done before the end product, for me, the end product is the 1 hour long, let's say, packaged movie is ready. So you already do that before on paper, or do you do that finally after the product is done?
I would
And also
say
in terms of release, so when it will become available in the platform to actually being watched by people, is that gonna take an additional time, and more or less how long? Or
it will definitely. I would say just like anything, we try to dual track it as much as we can. So our executive producers have some connections at various streamers and film festivals that we can be in talks with about this film that we have. But the reality is, once the film is made and it's done, we're going to go through the film festival circuit.
okay,
And we'll hope to get our film in some of the bigger festivals. And how a lot of these things get sold, how you end up seeing a lot of your favorite documentaries and like Netflix and Amazon and stuff, is they played at a film festival and then a streamer acquired it because
okay,
of the buzz it generated.
okay,
So, it's not a particularly scientific process, but it's just kind of how it's done in the business.
okay. So your, let's say, target will be exactly like Netflix or Amazon Prime streaming services. That's, let's say, the best case scenario, or is the minimum goal you have? How does it work in terms of, let's say, expectations you have in that regard?
Yeah, I would say that's one of the goals. I also don't want to pigeonhole ourselves just in like Netflix or Amazon, like especially with the way the media landscape is, it's changing all the time. So I think there's like a lot of powerful ways to share a film. I think YouTube is also an option that you
Yeah.
can monetize now. But yeah, it'd be pretty cool seeing it on Netflix. I can't lie.
Yeah. I agree. But I mean, I saw basically every kind of topic of Netflix, so I don't see why not. This could not be another one. Actually, probably, at least for me, much more interesting than other documentaries I've seen. But do you already, let's say, know, if no is the right word, who is the target audience in terms of single spectator you expect to enjoy this kind of movie? So it's like a person working in corporate environment and actually using Excel. It's someone more from a gaming background, or random people just wanted to watch something for 1 hour random on Netflix. Do you have already a target persona or spectator you expect is going to enjoy this movie?
I think if we make the film the way we think we can make it, I think it's really for everyone. And I think that's kind of what appeals to us about this project, is that everyone uses Excel. So it's something, even though the competition itself is very unique and something that few people have heard about, I think anyone can relate to this project. And then because, we're really telling a human story about people in a community competing with something that they love, I think that is a story that kind of transcends specific groups of people.
Yeah, I will say though, I think when I think about like who is the audience for this film and who's going to be watching it, I think it's the kind of people who enjoy the similar kind of sports documentaries that you typically see on places like Netflix and Amazon and stuff like that. Which, Rich is right. That's like everybody. Like they talk about something like Drive to Survive, and I've got people who are like one of my friends who's like a dance choreographer, and she loves Drives to Survive, and she knows like all the drivers, so you can't really pigeonhole like who it's going to be, who's going to enjoy it. But I think the same kind of people that enjoy those kinds of shows would enjoy the kind of film that we're envisioning.
Understood. Yeah, there are a few comments in the chat because I think no one from us is familiar with this kind of industry and market. So we're probably asking also very basic questions, but yeah, I think we all hope to be on the mainstream platforms for sure, and to enjoy this as much as possible. But
yeah,
do you think yeah, please go ahead.
Sorry, no, I was just going to say as well that when we were first talking about this with Brian and Paul, our other producers as well, they did talk about, because they're very much in tune with a lot of streamers and stuff. They make a lot of programming, mainly American football, NFL, stuff. And there's a lot of talk at the moment in terms of like what do the streamers want for their platforms at the moment. And there seems to be a bit of an uptick as well with esports, like content around esports as well. So we also see that as a positive for the film as well. It feels like there's a bit of a hunger for that kind of content at the moment as well.
Yeah. Do you think this as this can go viral? Because last year on social media after the event, it was probably like December/January. There was a lot of viral effect going on Instagram, on TikTok, I think. For example, in my case, in Italy, there was an Instagram page like posting random stuff. So no Excel, no tech, no, let's say, nerd contents. Just posted the competitors entering the arena through the HyperX tunnel. Just that, 30 seconds reel. That got 11 million views. In Italy, there are 55-ish million people. So 1 out of 5 people actually saw that video on Instagram. And I'm assuming it's very easy to then just say, hey guys, do you know there is a documentary on Netflix or whatever actually showing a 1 hour story about this? So are you, first of all, do you think there is a viral potential for this? And 2, are you hoping to get that? I think the answer would be yes, but I'm interested in understanding your view on this.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the goal of any filmmaker is to have your film seen by as many people as possible. And nowadays, the best way to get your stuff seen is to have it go viral or something like that. But yeah, I think that speaks again a lot to what I was talking about before about the fact that there is a XL World Championships and the fact that it does happen in Vegas is the hook that I hope will be the thing that will draw people in and be like, oh, that's interesting. What's that about? And then click play, and then in a kind of like Trojan horse kind of way, be like, haha, actually, this is a story about community and
a spreadsheet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, I think there's definitely the potential. I mean, you see it like year after year, and it's not just like one of those things that hits the news cycle 1 year and then kind of like fades away. I feel like every single year there's been the competition in Vegas. There's been a flurry of activity in the news and stuff immediately following. So I can imagine that happening again and that leading to more views for sure.
There is a question from the chat actually linked probably to the previous topic. So what actually happens when a studio buys the documentary? What rights are retained versus given up on a concession of selling? Can you, let's say, with simple terms, explain us how that piece of process works?
Yeah, we're getting a little bit out of my depth with that question. I think that just based on my experience working in this world, not necessarily on the sales side so much, is that it's pretty case-by-case basis that's sort of negotiated at the sale of the film, like where the rights are retained and stuff like that. So I think it's a little bit case-by-case, but yeah, again, we're getting a little bit out of my depth with this sort of thing.
Yeah, this is more of a Brian question that I wish I could answer. That's something that I'm desperately trying to get better at, is the business side of filmmaking, because Rich and I are both on the creative arm of things. But you know, in this day and age, you need to learn how to do both. So we're both trying to up our skills in that area. But yeah, I think what Rich said is generally right.
I'm not trying. I just like cameras.
Yeah, it's actually good because it demonstrates you have the real passion for that, so you don't care about those, let's say, small details of funding and money and how to sell this stuff to actually the buyers. So
it's good to find somebody who can take care of that for sure.
Yeah,
that's what it really speaks to, is partnering with people who understand how to make the most of that.
There is a hot take here, guys. Be careful what answer you're gonna give us. Are you using Excel for this? Let's say planning, organizing, budgeting stuff. And what do you think of Excel? Actually, is the real question here. Do you use that a lot? Did you try any of the cases? Do you like it?
I want to start using or start like practicing some of the cases. I think it was Jack who said like at the end of like filming, me and Rich should go up against each other like head to head and try and do a case against each other. And I think I've like been in the world long enough now that that I've been able to learn little bits and pieces from the videos and the tutorials that I've seen.
In fact, I'm ready to declare on this show that at the end of Vegas, Tom and I, Battle Royale, and you guys have to shoot us.
There you go.
Guns.
Yeah, we said there was gonna be some exclusive content on this launch. This is actually the statement we were waiting for. So.
Freaky Friday. You guys are the filmmakers, and we are the sellers.
Yeah, great.
Yeah,
perfect.
Challenge accepted. Challenge accepted.
Yeah.
But do you think, on a more serious note, do you think would be actually beneficial to try some of the cases and be, let's say, more aware of what does it actually mean to solve the cases in terms of the competition itself? Or do you think it's more valuable to be, let's say, agnostic in respect of the content of the competition to be able to tell a compelling story if, of course, you're going to shoot some footage, as I assume, related more to the competition side of thing to try to capture some real scenarios? I don't know if you want to actually film people writing formulas or keystrokes on the keyboard. Not sure what do you have in mind, but do you think it's better to have some knowledge content or not? You can also very well do that without any exposure to the challenges themselves.
Yeah, I think we've talked about this a lot about how do you tell the story without getting lost in like the nitty gritty and the weeds of like how does everything work? And I think there's definitely a way to there's definitely a way to do it because you see a bunch of these like shows, even shows that are about football, something that like a lot of people know. When you watch those kind of like documentaries, they don't necessarily tell you how football is played. They don't explain the rules to you. It's more about like the stories of the competitors within it and what's driving them and what's their motivation to win this competition. And I say that I think that's a fine line that we're going to have to tread, where we have a brief explainer for how stuff works, enough that the competitions have stakes to them and that there's still a sense of tension to the competitions, but not so much that people feel like they need to remember all of these things just to be invested in it. And I think that's a kind of storytelling challenge that any documentary filmmaker is going to come across when they do any kind of documentary about a sport.
Yeah, it's one that I went through in my last film about the miniature war games, in that I felt like the film needed some explanation of just what a war game is and loosely how it works, because it provides context for the rest of the film. For instance, if you didn't know that playing the game requires a level of memorization and math manipulation, then you might not get the appreciation of how intelligent these guys are that play this. And I think that's part of what we're trying to do here is you need to at least understand how these men and women can manipulate a spreadsheet like they do, so you can appreciate the skills that they have, which then provides context to the whole competition. So to Tom's point, there's a fine line there, because too much of that and a lot of people's eyes will glaze over, but not enough, and people won't have an understanding of what's going on.
Yeah, for sure. Finding the balance between not making it too technical, but also not making it too high level and let's say detached from the actual content of the competition will be really hard. So that will be a huge task. Also because when I try to explain people what do I do in terms of Excel World Championship, it's very hard actually, because either you stay super high level, so they kinda grasp it, but it might be everything, because I say we solve Excel cases, Excel problems, but maybe a person without any Excel knowledge can think an Excel problem is just, I don't know, the spreadsheet is not opening, which is not. Let's say you have a board with pieces moving and you need to figure out what's the logic and what's the point system. Right. If you go too deep, of course, they not gonna follow you because they don't have any prior context or maybe Excel knowledge. So yeah, it's a very fine line, and curious to see what will be the final product for the big public here, because that's, I think, is the end goal.
Yeah, it's sort of like, I don't know, if we were trying to explain like super simple example, but like soccer to people, what people need to know is that you're trying to get the ball in the net. Watching a soccer documentary doesn't necessarily need to understand the nuances of like an offside penalty. It's like the way I would describe that. Yeah. So we need to figure out a way to do that with spreadsheets.
Yeah. Once I suggest the doggy daycare case. It's a case about you have a map basically, and you need to figure out the movement that the dog can make in that map, and you have like food that the dog can grab. There are like water cells in which the dog can have a bath. So you need to figure out this kind of steps it can take. I agree. This is simple to explain, but probably does not explain a lot of other use cases we have. For example, card games, board games, I don't know, data problems. It's really there is a lot of diversity involved in the case design. Do you already have like 3 or 4 scenes in your mind that you want to shoot? You mentioned the last chance qualification round. Do you have like other, I don't know, 3 or 4 things in your mind that you want to be there in the
Rich
movie?
Definitely does. Yeah.
You take it, Tom. You got a couple.
Mine are, whenever I think of like films and stuff like that, I just have like shots in my head, and I'm not exactly sure like how they're going to fit in, so to speak. But I think, some ideas of just like the Excel parade is obviously going to be like a fantastic thing to shoot. Very excited for that. Just the even like in Utah, like afterwards and stuff like that, just the desert at like dawn or sunset and stuff like that is a nice little epilogue to the film. I've thought about that a lot. These people who are coming to Vegas for the first time, having never set foot there before, with like, looking out the cab window at all the freaking like lights and stuff like that. I think in like kind of like visuals like that, but I know Rich has given a lot more thought to the practicalities of some shots that he actually wants to get. So I'll hand over to him.
No, I mean, you hit most of it. Like, I'm really excited to shoot. We know a few people that are coming in who have never been to America before. So we want to shoot them at the airport, like kind of getting out of the airport and driving into Vegas and just like having like the madness unfold before them. Like, we just think that is like visually striking. I think you mentioned the parade, Tom. Like, there was like a parade last year that happened on the strip. Like, anything like that we want to shoot. I am really keen to get some beautiful wide shots of the last chance qualifier, because it's like all these people so focused on their computers packed into one room together. I just think that is like really striking. And then been putting a lot of thought into how we're going to shoot the competition and how we're going to shoot that for the edit so that we can cut it together in a way that's exciting to watch. I think that's going to be like a really fun and interesting challenge for us. So yeah, I think our heads are like swimming right now in different possibilities. It's really fun. This is the fun part right now.
Yeah. The thing about like computer screens as well is that it's a light source that's right next to the face as well. So it really does. You see it a lot in movies and stuff where you've got like a character like lying in bed or whatever on their phone, and their phone just like illuminates their face, and you get that really pretty kind of look. And so I think we're also thinking about that, about getting some really nice like close-up shots. We want to be able to like see the concentration on people's faces and stuff like that. So we're doing a lot of thinking at the moment about like what lenses are we going to use to be able to get that really nice close-up shot with like the blurry background and make it look really cinematic as well. So yeah, a lot of things happening.
Yeah, we already have a lot of pictures and also memes actually circulating about the last year competition because, for example, one of the semifinals had this like tilted grid by 45 degrees. So you can,
Isometric.
yeah, exactly, the isometric grid. So you can have all the
Yeah.
snapshots of the
Yeah,
competitors with
that was
their heads
great.
like this. So yeah, we have some memes actually being exchanged for that. So it's yeah, for sure you will see very focused faces. I was fascinated by the fact that there were some people actually able to focus during the solve. I mean, on the stage in the arena without headphones. For example, I remember very clearly Juan, who is watching the stream. He was actually playing without headphones. So he was casually reading the handout with the case instructions, then writing a bunch of formulas, very chilled. And on the other side, there is like people like me with double headphones on in order to be completely isolated from the environment, from the sound. So you will have a variety of people and how they're gonna focus to give their best during the competition. There was a question I wanted to ask you from the chat is actually this. So do you already have a rough idea of split between how much it will be competition related footage versus personal storylines, social, and other stuff, like 20/80, 50/50, roughly speaking?
Yeah, I think that's really something that kind of comes up in the edit. Like, you know, a lot of the time this happens with films in general, but particularly with documentary, is that you build the story in the edit. Like that's where you start writing the film. Essentially, is when you come back and you have all this footage, and you're like, how can we put this together into a way that's like compelling and makes sense and has like all the arcs and all the narrative things that you come to expect from a film. And so I think that'll come up based on essentially like what it is that we're able to capture. Like if we capture most of the stuff that we get is like of the community, then the film's probably going to be more community focused. If we get most of the stuff that's to do with like the competition, then it might be more competition led. However, I think the community aspect is the backbone of the of how we envision the film at the moment. So I imagine that's going to play a fairly strong part of it. And I've said this before in the fact that if we are able to get secure some more funding and stuff, we really want to be able to do some what we're calling like satellite shoots next year as well, where it's just like, you know, we film the competition. That's the most important part of this whole endeavor, is to make sure that we're able to capture that really well. But then if we're able to, we would love to be able to like come and visit some of these competitors, you know, in their home environments and stuff. So you can have that kind of juxtaposition and see like, you know, where they come from, and then them like in Vegas. We think that would be like a really powerful image as well. So I mean, if that's the case, if we're able to do that, then I think it's going to be a lot more focused on the competitors and the people for sure.
So eventually that will happen after Vegas, right? So like some, yeah, that was one of my questions I had on the list. If you were planning to actually shoot again after Vegas for some, additional storyline or detail
Yeah.
you wanna add. So,
Yeah,
but
I
at
think
some
that'd
point,
be
I'm assuming you need to draw a line and call it closed in terms of shooting and move to the editing piece of
yeah.
of work.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, there's so many people from, you know, all over the world, and I think that's a really fascinating aspect of that. And I think the best way to do that, and the best way to introduce characters, in my opinion, is to introduce them in their home environment. So if that's something that we're able to do, I think that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I think sort of sorry to interrupt.
No, I was just gonna say, if you wanna come to London, very very happy to have you. I think there are lots of competitors here from the UK, so if you wanna consider doing a short trip to Europe,
that'd
consider
be
London.
great.
I was just going to add, I think just how international this competition is like a little bit of an underrated thing that we can take for granted. But it really is fascinating that literally people from everywhere in the world are descending on Vegas for this competition. And that is something that we really want to highlight. And it's really cool for us as filmmakers because we are going to be able to talk to such a diverse set of people and that just makes for like such an interesting movie. I mean, it's like pretty rare that like you have this thing that has so many different people.
Yeah. One thing I always say when people ask me about the competition is really the community aspect of it, because I can truly say I know people from every part of the world thanks to this competition. So wherever I'm gonna go for, I don't know, a holiday or a work trip, I can confidently say I probably know someone from the Excel competition, and probably we can have a dinner together, a beer together. So it's, I mean, a huge plus, because it really gives you something great on top of the fun you have solving cases and being in a world cup of something. But really, the people aspect of it, it's mind blowing, at least for me. So yeah, definitely. I think it's a very good thing to capture on camera, and yeah, curious to see how you will present that to spectators, because it's really, yeah, one of the main important pieces for me about this competition.
Yeah.
For example, Jack says we met Liana. She met Liana 3 times this year, and basically Jack lives in the UK. Liana is from the US, so it's not an easy thing to arrange a rendezvous, but that is actually happening.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, the chat is in agreement with this last topic. Question: if you can give us details around that. I'm assuming let's say the level of coverage you can have is depending on the funding you get to shoot the movie. Is it let's say over, so it is what it is, or is there still time to find some new funding, some new sponsors, whatever? Can also make this like a call to action to people to reach out to potential parties' interest, if there is time, of course, to do that. Or
for sure. No, we're our hotline is open. We're constantly on the lookout. I mean, even after we shoot, we're still going to be looking for investment, and Brian's going to be doing his thing, like working on his end to secure funding, because after we shoot the film, we've got the money to be able to get this, and then we'd love to get some more money to be able to do these satellite shoots, but also there's the costs involved with post-production and the editing and the coloring and the release of the film as well. So the whole funding aspect of it is a track that's going to be continuing to be chugging along for the foreseeable future, for sure. And I think almost everybody here has Brian's contact information, but if not, we can certainly send it out.
And how does it work? Is it open like to company only, or also individual investors? And are people or company gonna look like just for visibility, so they pay a fee or whatever and they are featured in the documentary, or they also like invest a sum and they expect an ROI, so basically getting a return out of the investment? How does it work in that regard?
Yeah, I won't get like too into the weeds on this, but basically for a company, it's for visibility. It's a brand sponsor to get your name on the film. But for individual investors, there is a kickback to them where when the film sells, they get a percentage of the sales up front before the team sees any of that. So we make a little bit more money on the front end to get the film made. Investors make more money on the back end when it sells. This is sort of how the setup is working.
And so it's two different like tracks. We've got a track for individual investors, and then we've also got a track for companies and businesses that might be interested in sponsoring the film.
Yeah, and as far as like accepting or still looking for funding, like I know Brian has an interview with a pretty warm lead tomorrow, so it's constantly happening. I worked on a big film with Brian and Paul last year, and they didn't get all the money for the film until a week before we were supposed to shoot. So this is the nature of the
really dynamic environment. Okay.
Yeah, I've had people have told me to be on the lookout in Vegas because there's some high rollers in Vegas who have some business cards ready to go. Because that has happened before. I've had people who have like been on documentaries and stuff, and they've been out in the field and stuff. They've been talking to people, and they've met somebody who's like interested in the project, and they've given them a business card, and they've swapped contact information, and then that's led to them being involved in the project later on. So I mean, it's an ongoing process for sure.
And there's always a chance I get hot at the blackjack table.
That's true.
We fund it ourselves. There we go.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, sounds like a very dynamic and exciting industry and environment to be in. So yeah, I don't really know this market, so it's the first time I have a bit of exposure to it. So I'm very curious also about the processes and dynamics behind it. Okay, so we're close to the 1 hour mark. I don't want to, let's say, hold you here for too long. Are there any, let's say, final comments or statements or things we didn't discuss that you think are worth mentioning before closing this launch? Yeah, my list of questions is pretty much done. So my curiosity is satisfied for now. I'll probably have additional questions for you in Vegas, but
and there were some great questions. Thanks so much, Lorenzo. You're quite the interviewer. That was a lot of fun. And I don't know about you, Rich, but it certainly helped me as well. Just like start thinking of. It's good talking things out loud because we write stuff down in our documents and stuff like that. But to be able to like actually speak them out loud and talk to somebody about them has been really helpful. Last comments, I guess, again, just the same thing we've been saying this whole time. Thanks everybody for being so warm and welcoming to us and helping us make this the best version that it can be. We're constantly able to be contacted. We have that WhatsApp group that everybody is welcome to join. We're going to keep on doing these like office hours. We've done our 2 for this week, but whenever we have updates, we'll have group calls. And yeah, if you have any questions, if you have any contacts, if you have anything at all you want to talk to us, our line is always open.
Great. That's great to know. Rich, sorry, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I'll just echo what Tom said. We're so excited for Vegas. Like the excitement just every day keeps getting higher and higher and higher. And this was a great interview. So good, in fact, that you might be coming on the team, Lorenzo. You might be our third director doing these interviews.
Well, that would be a pleasure. I'm not sure I'm so good, but yeah, thanks for the for the appreciation. And I feel like if I can help in any way, I will totally glad to do that. Of course, I also want to be really focused on the competition because first thing you need to know is I'm a really competitive person. So I'm really going to give everything to do my best and have a chance to win the title, but we'll see. So. Yeah, I mean, we're already so excited for Vegas because it has been 1 year since the last event. So the excitement has been building up throughout the years, throughout the different events. There have been some live events, for example, the local chapter finals in London, in Brazil, in South Africa, Madagascar, probably Chile, and I think also India and a couple other Eastern countries. Sorry if I'm missing anything, plus the Leipzig finals, which I also attended. But I think this is the real event of the year. So we were waiting for this for 1 year. And knowing what is going to happen on top of the competition, so having you guys there, it's really adding another level of excitement. So again, I cannot tell you how much I am, and I think we are all excited about this. So yeah, and the cool thing is, it's only 2.5 weeks to go. So it's coming. It's here.
Yeah,
in the corner.
Let's do it.
Yeah. I guess I'll just say one. I'll say one more thing too, is that it might be a little, I don't know, weird and uncomfortable at first to see like a camera crew following everyone around. But I promise that pretty quickly, I think you guys will kind of forget we're there, and we'll just kind of naturally blend into what everyone's doing. And our goal is to make you guys in the competition look as awesome as possible. So just always keep in mind that we're looking out for you guys as much as we can.
Great, guys. It has been a pleasure. Thanks a lot for your time. Again, super excited to meet you in Vegas in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And yeah, again, looking forward to this really together with the community. So thanks a lot for being here.
Great. Thanks a lot,
Thank you.
Lorenzo.
Bye, guys. Take care.
See you guys. Bye.